Let's continue on with Thompson's reasoning. Now, what Thompson's going to do is she's going to argue piece by piece, okay, starting with very compelling cases where you think, okay, I got you, I agree. And then suddenly you find yourself in pro-choice world. Okay, if you're a pro-lifer, watch out for her. Okay, pro-choicers will probably be like, yeah, hurrah. So now the first thing Thompson is going to do, and now if you have your book, actually you should have your book right now. It's pretty important. Is we're going to go over the section where she discusses what she calls the extreme view. So this is going to be on page 310. So if you need time to look that up, pause and go to page 310. Okay. Now on page 310, she discusses what's called the extreme view, and it's on the handout here. Extreme view. Oh, there we go. There. Okay. Now you can fill in that blank. What is extreme view? There, I wrote it to save some time. It's the view that abortion is wrong, even to save the mother's life. Now, this is the extreme pro-life view. Most pro-lifers think that abortion is okay in the case that the mother's life is in danger. But Thompson's going to be like, hey, let's start with this view and make sure that we could at least argue that the extreme view is false. Okay. Now, what Thompson does is she tries to address an argument for the extreme view. And actually, she addresses 4 arguments for the extreme view, all kind of at once. So here's what I'd like you to do. So if you're on page 310, there's that second section where we're given an argument for the extreme view, okay, the view that the pro-life, extreme pro-life view. And the argument is going to look, it's something like this. It's on the handout, okay? So she wants you to think about a mother with a cardiac condition where having a baby will actually and result in the mother's dying. Now, now Thompson says this, premise 1. To have an abortion in this case would directly kill a child, and to not have an abortion in this case would merely let the mother die. Then there's a premise 2. She leaves that open, and then she concludes abortion is wrong in this case. So that here's generally what the extreme view person argues. Merely letting someone die, your hands aren't necessarily blooding. Like you're not the person that actually killed the person. So there's letting die, okay, allowing someone else to die, versus actively killing someone. Okay, so you want to make a distinction there. And what Thompson wants to say is in abortions, you're actually like killing someone. Okay, whereas in the case with the mother with the cardiac condition, nobody's actively killing her. It's just going to be that we're going to let her die. And so the person who's defending the extreme view is going to be saying, well, actually they're going to say one of 4 things. Okay, so an abortion, you're killing the child, and in the extreme case where the mother has a cardiac condition, you're merely letting her die. And then she goes through a few options. So take a look at that paragraph on page 310, the second paragraph after section 1. Now I want you to look at 4 different ways. There's number 1, but as directly killing an innocent person is always and absolutely impermissible, an abortion may not be performed. Or 2, as directly killing an innocent person is murder, and murder is always and absolutely impermissible, an abortion may not be performed. Or 3, these get a little bit more plausible actually, as one's duty to refrain from directly killing an innocent person is more stringent than one's duty to keep a person from dying, an abortion may not be performed. Or 4, if one's only options are directly killing an innocent person or letting a person die, one must prefer letting the person die, and thus an abortion may not be performed. So if you need time to pause and think over each of those options, please do, but each of those 4 options are ways to fill in the premise 2. Okay? Now, what she's going to say is all of those seem false. Okay, all of those ways of filling premise 2 seem false, and she only talks about the second option. Okay, what's the second option? That direct killing is always murder, and directly killing the innocent person is murder, and murder is always wrong. Okay, and she's gonna say, well, that's not the case. Um, and she's gonna say why, okay, and um, and basically she's gonna push that, um, in cases when your life is in danger, okay, and you kill someone as a result, it's not murder. So, um, that's the gist, and the way she supports that is actually with the tiny house example. Um, so the tiny house example is the next thing she talks about. Um, a little bit more on that. To support that premise, she appeals to the violinist case. But what's going to be more important is what's going to be more important is not this blank, but actually this blank. So that's knowing what the tiny house example is. So what happens in the tiny house example? You can read it ahead of time, but here's what happens. I can't draw on a board for you guys, but I'll do the best I can. So we have a house, and then there's you. And we're at a house. Okay, that's the house. And then there's a little baby. Okay, now Thompson wants you to imagine this. It's a kind of a weird case, but in this case, the baby starts growing. Okay, we can imagine this is like a magical world, and somebody casts a spell on the baby, and the baby starts growing. That's my version of the story. Baby starts growing and growing and growing until you're getting like stuck. You're gonna actually get suffocated and die by this baby. All right. And now, what Thompson says is, in this sort of case, if you were to kill the baby, let's say you're like, ah, and then like like and you kill the baby as a result, you are directly killing the baby. But Thompson thinks that's not murder. Okay. Now, some of you might disagree with that. Some of you might think that's still definitely wrong. But a lot of people in my classes and people I've talked to tend to think, in this case, it actually is morally permissible. And the reason is there's normally a case where people think that killing is permissible, and that's in a case of self-defense. So in this case where the baby is threatening the mother's life, it is permissible to kill the baby because this is a case of self-defense. Now, that's what the tiny example is supposed to show. Now, Thompson says maybe a bystander, it's not like a bystander, it's not permissible for a bystander to make a decision, but it's permissible for you to make a decision and say, I'm not going to be killed. It's permissible for me to save my own life. So that's how she's going to argue against any version of those premise twos. Okay, in any of those cases, look, direct killing isn't always murder. Direct killing isn't always better than letting die, especially in these cases of self-defense. And that's also going to be her reason for rejecting the extreme view. All right, that's the extreme view. And yep,